Welcome back to the battlefield. Today we're kicking off the episode with, I believe, just pressing the end turn button. There's a couple of minor things that we need to check first, but I'm going to go ahead and start off by sending our spy down into Iberia, where they can just hang out. But the main focus of today's episode, and probably the next several episodes, will be the war with Rome. Not long ago, the Romans decided to declare war on us, and so basically the only way to deal with the Romans is to send everything you've got at them and hit them as hard and fast as possible. So that's what I plan on doing. And I guess I shouldn't say that's the only way to deal with the Romans, but that's the way I prefer to deal with them. Because they can send hordes and hordes of armies after you. Just endlessly, so I would rather get them out of the way quickly. That was a ton of skill points for this dignitary. Alright, we don't have a ton of cash. We don't have any other movement that needs to happen, I don't think, because our spies are in a position to just kind of hang out for a little bit. We've got our armies recruiting still, picking up the last ballista, and we're sending our forces forward. Let's just go ahead and make sure everyone's good to go, and then end the turn and see if the Romans have an army stationed at Genua, and if they feel confident enough to launch an attack. So I think the plan will be to conquer this province here. We have a couple of minor tribes to take care of. The Veneti, who I believe are a client state or military allies. They're something, so they're on Rome's side, basically, so we'll definitely need to get rid of them. And then we may as well also take the city of Medlon while we're at it. We'll kind of use this as both a staging area and a way to kind of corral the Romans in, keep them from escaping the Italian peninsula, while we continue bringing the rest of our forces forward, and potentially while we raise a fifth army. Fortunately, during this end turn, the Romans did not see fit to send anything our direction, at least not as far as we can tell. Now, I do have a spy over here. I kind of want to just leave them where they are, but I think it would be a good idea to go check out the city of Genua right before we get over here. Alright, so the Romans do not have an army in position at Genua. At least not yet, so let's go ahead and send our spy south into Italy and start checking out the diplomacy of these factions. Alright, so they are at war with the Ruteni, who we have decided to start trading with. We may as well try and initiate trade here while we're at it. They are weak, so I could probably wait for another turn and get more money out of them, so let's go ahead and do that. The Helvetii we don't actually want to get involved with because we need to keep diplomatic relations with the Germans. We can't afford to be fighting the Germans and the Romans at the same time, at least not if we want to be aggressive against the Romans in any way. Alrighty, well, both of our field armies are in position to strike Genua, so let's go ahead and send the Woad warriors in. The garrison is a Roman garrison, so they will be quite strong, but I'm pretty confident that these late Britannic heavy swordsmen should be able to win that fight without too much difficulty. And then the next step will be probably to take down this army outside and prevent them from retreating, although looking at it I don't think we will actually have the movement range to chase them down very effectively. Either way, let's go ahead and dive right into the battle. I should auto-resolve this, but I want to check out these heavy swordsmen. Alrighty, welcome to the battlefield. I've already kind of said that this episode. But welcome to an actual battlefield, not just the overall view of Northern Europe. Alrighty, so this should be a decent test, a good initial combat for these swordsmen. Nothing too serious in the garrison, obviously, and we do have our entire second army in reserve, but don't plan on using them at all. They're mostly just here as a show of force and on the off chance that I need them to help deal with loose enemy units, but I'm not expecting that to be an issue. Let's bring the Sword Masters out to the left flank, and then it looks like we're ready to go. So on this map, the AI have a tendency to just kind of hang out in the city, but I'm hoping they will actually charge out and fight me in the field. Just because the choke points get a little bit weird on this particular city map. Oh, and while we're here, we've got to check these guys out. If I'm not mistaken, I saw some dudes that were barefoot. Maybe they just have brown boots. Okay, they're not barefooted. It's just brown shoes or boots of some sort. But they've got pretty freaking sweet armor. I like the darker coloring as well. Alright, I just want to make sure we're not getting charged. That would be a little bit awkward. But yeah, these guys look great. How about the spearmen? They look to be armed nearly the exact same, except the spearmen have spears and the swordmen have swords. Let's... Shocking, I know. Alrighty, let's go ahead and just let the slingers hit whatever they feel like hitting with their slinging stones. Let's have the rest of the army turn a little bit to more directly face the Romans. Secondary army, don't really care about, just go over here, I guess. I do want to make sure that our guys are formed up, though, so that if they charge us out here, we don't get totally caught out. So let's just go ahead and make sure our guys are in a bit of a defensive posture. And then let's see how things go. Should probably have the slingers target the enemy missile troops. We'll send the dogs out. And then pull the handlers back, of course. And I probably should move my melee troops out front. So let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully I've moved them soon enough so that they will have time to stop moving and then use their javelins. Slingers, keep doing your thing. Alrighty, so here comes the first combat for these sword masters. It'll be a test of their strength and skill in battle.
One of our units has used all its
Wow,
ammunition.
the javelins have absolutely decimated this Italian town guard. The dogs are doing the same on the other side. Alright, let's go ahead and give some charge orders here. A little bit confused by what their general is doing, but whatever.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Alright, let's go ahead and send the cavalry in. Oh, I should send the Lancer Cav in first, but whatever, it'll be alright. Slingers can keep doing their thing.
The battle is turning in our favor.
Alright, we'll actually have the slingers stop for now, because I might want to have them hit a different target. Still no need to bring the secondary army in. We'll go ahead and even tell them to not fire at will. Alright, we're taking a lot of javelins with the sword masters, which is a problem. They are very weak to missiles. But we should be alright. Okay, we've decimated the enemy cavalry. We're wrapping up the right flank. Go ahead and send the sword masters in, let the cavalry deal with their skirmishers. And I should bring the general around to get involved as well. Alright, front line is holding magnificently. We're hardly taking any damage at all, so that's good to see. General's under attack, why? Oh, I think because he moved through our own slinger units, that's fine. Go ahead and go deal with all of these missile units, hopefully before the enemy spears show up. Alright, we have completely collapsed the enemy left flank. Their center is falling as well. Go ahead and let the horsemen stay involved over here. I would like to rout these levies, but it might not happen just yet. The enemy center has collapsed. Alright, so these swordsmen are exactly what we needed to go up against the Romans. I mean, our guys are completely ripping through them without even struggling, which is good to see. I've got an offline campaign as a different faction going, and our frontline infantry in that campaign struggle even to defeat Roman garrison swords. Alright, let's go ahead and send the general in on a rear charge here. We'll get the cavalry in position to help out with this final spear unit. Oh, we don't even need to, they just routed. Alright, well, as far as casualties, the unit that suffered the most was our swordmasters, and that's because they got absolutely plastered by missiles. But our heavy swordsmen, the unit that took the most damage, only lost 10 men. 10. Alright, I'm very happy with that performance. Swordmasters took 40 casualties, but they still managed to get nearly 300 kills, so they're just an absolutely devastating unit. These slingers are rank 9, and so I want to keep them, but I don't know, I still think I might switch them out. I'll have to review their stats and pay a little bit more attention to how good they are at killing enemy units with their missiles before I actually make a final decision on that. And the secondary army gets no experience, but that's fine, or at least they don't get any kills, so I don't think they get any experience. We are really, really low on funds at the moment, so let's just go ahead and loot Genua. Yeah, we'll go ahead and loot it, and then it'll all need to be converted eventually. You know what, we should probably just get that going now. We'll go ahead and get a meeting ground here, and then probably a temple or a farm or something here. Alright, now we do not have the movement range to attack this small Lepontii army, so instead of bothering with that, we'll just move our army a little bit further forward and hopefully catch them before they can retreat all the way back to their settlement. It looks like we might not quite catch them, but at least they won't be able to get into the city, so we can force a field battle if we need to. Alright, speaking of attacking Medlon, we do need to get our siege armies forward, so let's go ahead and give the move orders for that. And then, since these armies are far enough in friendly territory, I think I can go ahead and keep them patrolling just to reduce their upkeep costs a little bit and save us some cash. Alright, I think that's all we need to do for agents and armies. Let's check out what we need to do for construction. So right off the bat, it might not be a bad idea to upgrade the city of Ratai. Got me thinking about that Kingdom Come Deliverance game. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get a quarry in there. Why not? And we still have a decent chunk of change left over, so let's look around and see what construction options we ought to pursue. I could upgrade the Warhorse market, but it'll increase the risk of a disease breaking out in the region, and so I would rather not upgrade that just yet. Things look fine in terms of construction, so let's check out our internal politics. The Vakomagi chieftains are still being stubborn and bullheaded, and apparently preparing for some kind of secession, so let's start seeing if we can't improve our relationships even further with them. Let's look at Belgica. and see how bad the public order is, because we might send... Okay, it's only -1. There's no point organizing games when public order is that high and you're only losing 1 per turn. So instead of doing that or sending them off to help with food, let's just send them out as a diplomat to the only faction that actually likes us. And then last thing before we end the turn, let's also see if the Aquitani have gained any more money. Nope, they are still weak, so let's not bother with them. Okay, so the Veneti are a client state. We're not at war with them yet, but I expect war with them is on the horizon. Unfortunately, our relationship with the Germans to the east is not particularly strong, and we have a large border with them. So there's pretty significant danger in leaving them alone. I might send them some money, I don't know. Either way, we're not going to do that this turn. Let's just go ahead and move on to the next one. We don't have any line of sight on any Romans at the moment. Let's actually send the spy straight towards the city of Rome, just to see if we can find enemy armies there. Next turn, of course. Alrighty. It's always nice when the diplomats you send out do something positive instead of negative. Alright, now first order of business, let's send the spy down south and see what we see. Look at that tiny little bit of movement range remaining. Is that movement range? Yeah, it was. That's pretty funny. Alright, go ahead and deploy them, and we still don't see any Roman forces in northern Italy. If we take a look over here, though, the Romans have established a foothold in the Iberian Peninsula? Is this really a peninsula? It's kind of freaking huge. I don't know. They have they have a foothold here with the First Legion, and so it is possible that we will soon see an incursion from the Romans on our southern border, but they have a lot of things to fight through before that happens, so we don't need to worry about it just yet. Either way, we have captured the city of Genoa. Let's go ahead and build a temple there. And the Lepantii are recruiting, so we could go attack them immediately and stop them from recruiting. Or we could just let the siege army show up and we could have a big old siege battle there. In the interest of dealing with other enemies while the Romans are away, I think it's probably going to be best if we just go attack them. What we could do is siege the settlement and then hit the army outside while it is isolated. And then if we have to, we can just bring these armies over to do the siege on their own real quick. Let's go ahead and do it like that. Let's check out the diplomacy first and see if there's anyone we can use to join the war. Alright, let's go ahead and talk to the Ruteni and join their war against these guys. I'm not even going to ask for money, we just want to gain the relation with them. Alright, now please tell me we can still siege the city. Just in case something goes screwy here, it shouldn't, but just in case, I'm going to get my second army in position right off the bat. Alright, so no problems here. We'll go ahead and siege the city, and then with the Hordes of Camulos, drive off this other army. They didn't make it far enough to get away, so now we will have a nice proper field battle with our new Slinger Spearmen and our shield wall. We obviously outnumber the enemy, we out-cavalry the enemy, and we have more missile troops as well, so this should be really, really easy. I didn't check to see, but they do have a lot of spearmen in this army, and it is possible that several of their spearmen can form a shield wall or a phalanx of some sort. So that, if they can, that means we will actually end up taking a lot of casualties in this battle. But obviously, we don't know that yet. Now, I'm going to do what no general would ever actually do in real life, I don't think, but we're going to attack right up this little valley. Just because I'm fairly confident the AI is not going to be smart enough to get their downhill charges. You know what, why am I Why am I putting myself at a disadvantage? Whatever, we're just gonna do it. It's a bad idea, but whatever. We can always bail if we need to, right? Alright, let's go ahead and give ourselves the standard formation. This army really does not have a lot of infantry. I feel like this army should have more infantry than it does. But I guess with how strong the shield wall is, it doesn't really matter. And our support units can provide greater utility than just extra swordsmen probably could. Particularly in a straightforward one-on-one fight. Alright, let's go ahead and fast forward this. These Slinger Spearmen actually, I like that they also have shields. Because it means these guys probably are pretty decent in melee combat. I guess I should just do it like this. Yeah, so their melee attack is pretty bad, but their melee defense is really good. It's not like the world's greatest, but that's pretty good. And with the tiny bit of armor they also have, those guys probably could hold up in a fight for a little while. Alright, now let's see. Do the enemy spearmen have access to some kind of shield wall formation? None of the units that we can see so far appear to have that ability. Let's go ahead and... We could potentially take the top of this hill and then attack down at the enemy. But I'm not that concerned about the advantage of high ground at the moment. Let's go ahead and get in range. Ooh, you know what? Our guys are actually moving pretty slow, so let's just go ahead and hurry up and form up. Split up the cavalry so that we can get some sort of side charge on these guys. Ooh, are they just going to go straight for a charge? They're not. Okay. Don't make them run away. But we're close enough now we can catch them, so go ahead and get in there. Bring the extra unit of cavalry around. I don't know what the heck my general is doing. I must have not selected him when I told the entire army to change its formation a little bit. Alright, so we didn't really get a great charge here, but our cavalry is melee cav, so they should have excellent survivability against these guys, and while that is going on, let's go ahead and bring the army up the hill a little bit. Did they already rout? They did, good. Okay, we'll let one of our cav units chase them down. We'll kind of keep the other one back in reserve a little bit. Slingers are on fire at will. I don't know why this unit just stopped, but it's okay. Alright, we'll go ahead and pull out of that. I'm thinking that unit will probably rout before, or it'll probably hit the edge of the battlefield before they rally. Alright, let's see, let's set up the shield wall. We'll go ahead and let the slingers pull back behind it. Send the dogs in on their sword units where we can. Well, where we can. We only have one chance to give an order to the attack dogs. I'm shocked that that unit of cavalry rallied. Alright, let's go ahead and establish the shield wall. And then let the slingers start attacking their missile units. Okay, their cavalry's coming around for another pass, so we'll go ahead and split up our own cavalry again and start moving our sword contingent out and around the flank. Alright, now ideally I would catch this unit of cavalry with the downhill cavalry and then hit them with a rear charge from uphill. So let's hope we're close enough to catch them here. Looks like we are. Come on, guys. Oh, only just barely caught them here. Alright, what kind of charge are we going to get? This should definitely be enough to send them off the battlefield. 2 kills on the charge. That was painful.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Alright, we'll go ahead and let the shield wall do its thing. There's no reason to give attack orders and mess up my formation just yet. And then we'll keep our swordsmen moving up and around the flank. Slingers can maintain their attack orders, and we'll keep rotating the cavalry out and around. Okay, we might need more bodies up on this northern flank. It depends on what this spear unit decides to do. Go ahead and make sure that unit of skirmishers doesn't return to the battlefield, and then we'll go ahead and send this unit of swords out to catch that spearman. Alright, our left flank is not even engaged, and all of their infantry is moving, so let's go ahead and give these guys an attack order, or at least get them moving forward. We're just going to give a charge order here. I don't want to mess around with trying to get the javelins to work. We'll get a nice downhill charge here. It is straight into a spear unit, so it's not great, but we need to pin these guys down so our guys can catch up.
Our general is under attack.
General is engaged. Go ahead and have him pull back. Let the cavalry pull back now that our infantry is in position. The slingers need to cease fire or change targets, so let's go ahead and just have them change targets to this general's unit, and then we can use the cavalry to hit the main line and the sword masters to hit the general. Send our own general back into the fray. Definitely want to make sure we keep cycle charging here, because they have a lot of spear units, and we don't want our guys to die like that. Okay, our front line is actually taking a pretty huge amount of damage, but they'll be alright. Let's go ahead and charge into this and have the slingers hit these guys in the back. I shouldn't have sent 2 units into it though. Let's go ahead and pull one of them back out.
The enemy general is dead.
Okay, the enemy general dying should help, because I think a lot of their units do not have the disciplined trait. Alright, let's go ahead and give some attack orders with our front line now. Make sure our spearmen stay involved. Alright, and that's the battle. Pretty successful. Some of our cavalry took a lot of damage. One of our spear units took, well, 2 of our spear units took a decent amount of damage, but other than that, we held out just fine. And I am fairly pleased with my micro. I've never been super great at micro, and anyone who's been watching me for, I don't know, 1 video knows this. But I'm happy with how that went. I think I made good decisions with my army deployment there as well. Except for, of course, putting myself in that little valley, but it did let us protect our left flank pretty easily, so maybe it was the right call. General didn't get nearly as many kills as I would have liked him to. I think he got 3 pretty solid charges, and he only ended up with 63 kills, so that's a little bit of a disappointment. But to be fair, he was hitting a spear unit that probably turned around to fight him, so still an acceptable performance across the board. Alright, now what I'm really tempted to do is just drop back to Genoa. But of course this army won't have the movement range to do so. Let's go ahead and enslave the captives. What? They already retreated. Why can they retreat again? That seems unfair. Alright, well, whatever. I was going to try and retreat back to Genoa and then break the siege and have both armies come back here, help out with public order, maybe get a little bit of replenishment, but also protect the city in the off chance that there's a Roman army here with insane movement range, which is entirely possible, by the way. But since we don't have the movement range to do that, and since this army managed to retreat twice in the same turn for some reason, let's go ahead and just chase them down and auto-resolve that out. Bye-bye to you. None of our units got overly damaged. Some of our slingers gained some experience, which is exactly what we want to see. Alright, now let's start preparing to fall back to friendly territory. I think I will let my siege armies get in here and actually handle that battle. We're just going to keep moving them forward together and letting them patrol to do as much as we can to reduce their upkeep. It also kind of annoys me that this happens. The AI can't figure out how to pathfind around a stationary object sometimes. But whatever, it's not a big deal. While we're here, in case I change my mind, let's go ahead and just make sure we have some siege equipment. The main threat here would be their archers, so the more ladders we have to get through their infantry, the better. Alright, and that should be just about all for this turn. I don't really need to move any of my spies or anything. I will go ahead and send this one down to keep an eye on the Romans, though. May as well. It's always a good idea to have fresh intelligence. This spy, I would like to keep deployed, but I think I want to find Roman armies. You know what? They've already moved, so can't do that this turn anyway. Alright, we also have a ton of money all of a sudden. I feel like that... Oh yeah, it's because our diplomat came back with a tribute. Awesome. So let's go ahead and check out... let's go ahead and upgrade this, and then I think I'll still hold off in the other regions. Wait a minute. Sanitation's a little bit of a problem here. We definitely need to do something about that. I don't really need a barracks at Treverorum, so let's just get rid of that and build a temple there. Belgica is still losing a little bit of public order, as is Aquitania. But of course the public order will be solved once we build a temple there, so no worries there. Alright, everything looks good. Let's just go ahead and see what we can do about the internal situation real quick. We'll go ahead and just send a gift to the Vakamagi chieftains, and then give this fine young man a mistress, and then move on to the next turn. Just kidding, we have a governor who has leveled up. Alright, what seems the most useful? Tax rate, empire maintenance. How much is this going to boost our income? Like 100 gold, maybe? Whereas that did nothing at all. Alright, whatever. How about this? That's a very small boost, but a boost nonetheless, so we will accept it. Alrighty, now let's see. That should be all. Let's go ahead and end the turn. Alright, welcome back to the top of the turn. Now, we still have not made any contact with additional Roman forces, so we're not really sure exactly what they're up to just yet. So let's go ahead and send our spy a little bit deeper into their territory. And still, we have no contact with any legions in Italy. We will go ahead and check out what they're doing in Iberia as well. Looks like so far they are content to just sort of sit around and hang out. We'll go ahead and move up to the border here and have the spy deploy, just because our trade route gives us eyes on this city. Alrighty, now up here in northern Italy, the Ruteni have sent an army forward. It appears to be pretty much a garbage army, but I definitely do not want them to take any territory from the Romans, so I need to be a little bit quick with my next moves. What kind of movement range do they have? So they will be able to launch an assault on the city of Medlon next turn if they want to. Or not next turn, but 2 turns from now if they want to. I'm going to go ahead and move the Horns of Cambulos forward, and then pull out of the siege of Medlon. I think this garrison is strong enough that it will defeat the Ruteni army if they decide to launch an attack. And if not, I'll just go ahead and stay here on the border of my newly conquered territory, just in case I change my mind and decide I would need to launch the siege. Because what I could do is just launch the siege, or begin a siege, but not actually launch the assault, and then just hold the siege until this other army shows up. But I would rather not be in enemy territory during winter, even though my units are immune to snow attrition. Maybe it wouldn't make a difference. But at least this way we're not also taking siege attrition at the same time. It's fairly minimal, but either way, it'll still save a couple of our dudes from deserting or dying or however they explain the attrition to work in this game. Ooh, and I need to build a temple at Trevorum. That should be all we need to do for this turn. Let's just go through and make sure nobody leveled up, and then move on to the next one real quick. Alright, here we go. It is now winter in 244 BC, and I think I will just go ahead and have a defensive turn. Go ahead and... Looks like we have replenished back up to full strength across the board, so maybe I should just get aggressive here. That would probably be the smarter thing to do. Oh, look at that movement range. That is abysmal. Alright, on the plus side, the winter movement penalty has also applied to the Ruteni, and it will just prevent them from launching their own attack for a little bit longer. I mean, that is really, really bad movement range there. Alright, the city of Genua is not too happy. I also forgot to stop taxing them. I definitely don't need that tiny amount of income, and whatever public order I can preserve is a good thing. Because I don't want to be spending a lot of time putting down rebellions. If I'm spending time replenishing, that's one thing, but if I'm spending time putting down rebellions, that's different. I would rather avoid it if possible. The fastest way to get to the city of Patavium for the Horns of Camulos is actually to go through the forest. But I'm not entirely convinced that's the best idea. Let's go ahead and do it anyway, whatever. Just go hang out in the forest. We're not going to take any attrition from doing that. Go ahead and get the extra movement range so that we can hopefully guarantee we will have enough to actually launch the attack on Patavium next turn. Of course, I might not launch the attack because the Veneti should have at least one full stack army there. We'll go ahead and keep the Woad warriors where they are. Realistically, I should lay siege to the city just to prevent them from recruiting, but whatever, it'll be alright. As far as research, I wouldn't mind some increased sanitation. So I am quite tempted to start researching the double wall construction, but let's take a look around for anything else that strikes my fancy. Improving the farms would be a good idea. Not too concerned about anything in the siege category right now. The extra replenishment rate would be great. I don't care at all about the improved shipbuilding, but the extra replenishment rate sounds really nice right now, so we'll go ahead and get that. Alright, now let's take a look at... That was the warlord we already gave his skills. Let's take a look at construction. So that should be a city center that just got improved here. Okay, nothing too major. Alright, so construction looks good. Haven't completed anything new. Loyalty looks better, but we will go ahead and keep throwing some money around just to make people happy. This guy just turned 17, so I don't really need to get him married right off the bat, so instead we'll keep throwing some money around and let him keep his mistress so that he can keep improving his influence per turn. Ooh, and then the other thing I really ought to do is start thinking about swapping out my High King so that he's no longer a general, and so that we can start getting some early improvements for the general that takes over his army. But for now, let's have him go ahead and gain some influence. And that's probably going to be it for this turn. Let's just go ahead and take a quick look around and see if there's any household items or household members we can assign that'll give us any good bonuses. Not a huge fan of any of these, but we can assign the anachronistic anachronistic madman over here just to get the extra research rate. Alright, that'll be good. Let's go to the next turn. Alrighty, yet again, welcome to the top of another turn. Nothing interesting happened over the end turn, at least not as far as I could tell. So let's take a look at what we want to do here. I think probably going for the mines would be better because it'll improve our income the most. That being said, we do have some pretty major construction projects that'll be coming up, but those won't be coming up for several turns, so let's not worry about getting the reduced construction costs at the moment. I probably won't even bother changing that in the future, but alright, that's all we need to do in our home territory. Let's start looking back down on the front lines again and just keep moving the armies forward. I still think we are far enough away that we're safe from any sort of attack, so we can go ahead and patrol with our 2 siege armies. Now, if I move this army away from the bridge, the Ruteni do have the movement range to attack the city of Medlon. I don't want to just cheese the game and block the bridge by keeping my army there. That feels a little bit cheesy to me, but at the same time, at least I wouldn't be doing it with like an agent. That's what really annoys me, is when the AI uses agents to block choke points. Because it doesn't seem to work for me. I haven't figured out how to get my agents in the right spots to do that. Anyway, we'll go ahead and let our army block the bridge so that the Ruteni cannot assault the city of Medlon. These barbarians apparently can't afford to keep recruiting, so that is a good sign for us. Ooh, that is not a good sign for us. On the other hand, it could be a very good sign for us. We could send our spear army out to attack the Veneti, but I'm not exactly convinced that would be a good idea. Let's go ahead and pull the warlord out and have him do some looking around. Alright, so the Veneti do not have any more military forces at the city of Patavium. I can't really see anywhere past it, though. I wonder if we deploy, if it'll show anything. It does not. So it's possible that this is their only army. And if that's the case, this is a great opportunity to take them down while they're isolated. It looks like they're mostly filled with just light troops anyway. I am hoping they don't have a ton of cavalry. But what they will have is a lot of javelins. So it could be a bit of a difficult fight, or at least a bit of a costly fight, but I think we will be alright, so... Ooh, but the other thing is we're not at war with them yet. My main reason for wanting to attack them is I didn't want them to help defend the Lepontii at the city of Medlon. But we're not at war with them right now, so they wouldn't be able to help that defense anyway. Let's do this. Let's just go hang out in their territory and do some raiding. And now I wish I had not deployed this guy, because I would much prefer to stick him back in the army right now over having him be deployed. Either way, I think we'll be alright. We can always just lay siege to the city and put him back in the army, or we can just keep raiding and put him back in the army. Anyway, I'm talking about stuff that I don't need to talk about at the moment. In Spain, let's go ahead and send our spy forward a bit, because I think, yeah, the Roman legion is preparing to attack what I believe is the Carthaginians' second to last city. And it looks like they definitely have the forces there to take it, so the Carthaginians are nearly wiped out, no surprises there. I have yet to play a campaign where the Carthaginians survive, unless I personally am up against the Romans early on. When it's just AI left to its own devices, in my experience, Rome always wins against Carthage. Alright, let's go ahead and send the spy out and about to see if we can spot out some legions. We found one lone general out wandering around, but obviously that is no threat at the moment. Go ahead and just patrol on the border here. Did we just gain a bunch of extra movement range?
I live to serve the people of Britain.
Am I losing my mind here? I could swear I used all of my movement range with these armies already, but now all of a sudden they can go a little bit further.
Ready for battle.
Very bizarre. Anyway, we'll go ahead and go a little bit further. Alrighty, that should be everything for this turn. I might even go back and cut out these turns, but I don't know, maybe not. We'll see. There's some decision making in there that I generally like to leave in. So, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, let's go ahead and just go ahead to the next turn. And I have said go ahead a lot today. Do you guys notice that kind of stuff? When you're watching or when you're talking, whatever, do you notice when people reuse phrases all the time? Because the main phrase I used to use a lot was, I would say, I was gonna say, all the time. And I don't think I say that one very often anymore, but I have picked up several others that I use quite frequently now. Alright, so the Rutini, since they're unable to get past our little bridge blockade, they have decided to divert and get ready for an attack on Arretium, which ironically would be even worse than if they took the city of Medlon. So I'm hoping my army has the movement range to get all the way down there in one turn, and it looks like we do. So I might try and just block the bridge again, because I don't actually want to launch an assault here just yet. Nah, we're gonna go ahead and besiege that city. Up here... Here's what we'll do. We will bring... My main thing is, I would like to keep my armies close enough that they can support each other in the event of a Roman counterattack. So... I am tempted to send the Hordes of Cambulos into Arretium, but they'll be too far away to support anyway, and I know we are probably at least 2 turns away from a Roman counterattack, because they don't have any legions in the area. So what I think I will do is I will leave my siege armies to take care of the Veneti and the Lepontii, and I will just go ahead and send my field armies forward into Italy and take some ground early. Alrighty, now we are ready for the siege of Medlon. I'm curious what the balance of power will be with just one of these siege armies, and I think it would be better with the blades of Belatucadros. It's quite the name there. Alright, so balance of power is very bad. I believe it's because we are so massively outnumbered. But the main threat I see here is just their huge amount of archers. We have pretty decent armor, but over time, that many archers will cause some pretty major problems. So let's go ahead and start building some ladders. I'll probably actually siege them out for an entire turn. And then the other thing I'm going to do is... Oh no, I can't remember which army is laying the siege already. How embarrassing. Alright, so the blades are laying the siege, so what we will do is go ahead and pop all of the siege equipment into that army, so that our infantry don't take the attrition over the end turn. Realistically, it won't make that much of a difference, but it makes a difference in my head. The other thing it'll do is it'll make it easier for us to deploy the artillery right where we want them in the battle. So I think that's probably the best move, and then we will fight these battles. Let's see, so do we want to start with the battle for Arretium or the battle of I always want to say Arminium. because I get the eyes mixed up. Anyway, let's go ahead and take the Battle of Arretium right off the bat. They've got 4 slingers, 1 cavalry, obviously a bunch of swordsmen, and we have the Woad warriors with their super skilled general who happens to be the High King. Let's get in there. Alrighty, I want to try something a little bit different than what I normally do. I want to try an attack where I break through the enemy's center. I'm not exactly sure how best to do that either, but we're going to give it a go. The main thing is I don't want my cavalry to get hit by javelins, because that will neuter their charge bonus pretty heavily. So let's go ahead and put the melee cav on the flanks, the shock cav in the center. We'll put the sword masters immediately behind them, and then all of our regular swords immediately behind that. One of the biggest things with this kind of attack is you need to have enough units that you can actually take advantage of breaking through the center. At least that's in my brain. That's one of the main things you have to do, is because it doesn't do any good to break a hole through the center if you don't have any units to flood through that hole and get around the enemy's flanks. And generally I don't bother trying this because it's just unnecessary. I usually can gain superiority on the external flanks fairly easily, whether just by outnumbering the enemy or just killing their cavalry. So it's usually not necessary to try a center charge, but I want to because it sounds fun. So we're just going to see what happens. Plus I think we have the right units to do it. We don't have the world's greatest shock cav here, but they are shock cavalry. If you take a quick glance at their stats, they have basically no melee defense, so they are designed as shock cav, not melee cav, and then we can follow it up with shock infantry. But of course we're going up against Romans who don't really have a front line. So, well, I shouldn't say they don't really have a front line, it's that their standard formation has a second line when a lot of AI armies do not have a second line. Go ahead and try and keep these cavalry units in formation a little bit, just by manually manipulating their movement speed. Alright, now hopefully we can get sort of to the top of the hill here, or at least to a mostly flat area of the hill. Let's try and turn towards them a little bit as well. Alright, now I kind of want to hold the dogs back and have them lead the charge, but at the same time, let's just get rid of some slingers. Interestingly, the AI have, like, turned their front line quite a bit. Ooh, and since they're putting their spears in front, the cavalry charge isn't going to be as great as I would like it to be. Let's get our cavalry on the flank, ready to deal with their general. Okay, what are they attacking? Their missile troops are shockingly not attacking our sword masters. Alright, time for the missile troops to get out of the way and us to send everyone else in. Alright, so let's go ahead and send the cavalry in. We need to get the swordsmen up here as well.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Okay, we'll hit them with a bit of a charge here, and then I have not timed this very well. But so we hit them with a bit of a charge, and then we will just pull the shock cavalry back. Alright, we have easily defeated their general's unit of cavalry. We need to get our swordsmen in there as soon as possible. Let's just go ahead and charge with that unit. Alright, so our sword masters are doing well. They are actually completely smashing their way through that front unit, which is good to see. Alright, time to move the shock cav out and around the flanks and start attacking the enemy. Definitely don't want the general to get caught by spears. Yeah, see, this is part of why I don't generally try this formation or this style of attack, is because it's just completely unnecessary. The AI has given me the flanks anyway by sending all of their units into the center. Alrighty. On the plus side, it felt kind of cool. And these swordmasters are actually not dying as fast as I kind of expected them to. Alright, let's pull this unit of cav out of there and get the swordsman in. Go ahead and give a charge order with the cavalry, make sure our infantry is staying involved. I probably shouldn't have left the general in that fight for as long as I did, but whatever. It was just a light spear unit, so he didn't even end up taking any casualties. Go ahead and have our slingers cease fire, send the cavalry in for another rear charge, and then follow it up with some spearmen, and that should be the battle won. So you can see we kind of started to break through the center, but it's still just, it's so much easier to just wrap the enemy's flanks that I don't know if it's really worth trying a center push. It was cool though. I liked using it, it just wasn't as effective as I wanted it to be. So I don't know, I'll probably play around with that style of attack a little bit more and see if I can make it more effective against the AI. I am wondering now if having 2 units of swordmasters would be better for a central attack. I would love to loot this settlement, but that's a decent amount of money, but it's not as much as I would like. And I don't want to be sitting around forever helping public order. But it's going to be a little while before my siege armies get here, so it's going to be a little while before I can really launch an attack on the city of Rome anyway, so let's just go ahead and loot it. Alright, and we will get the buildings converted as quickly as possible, and then next episode we will start off with the battle for Ariminum, and then we will follow that with the battle for Medlon, and I'm sure we will probably be able to fit the battle for Patavium in there as well, in addition maybe a field battle. So we've got all kinds of battles coming up, but we definitely need to end it here because I am short on time. So as always, I hope you guys enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.